this is Lindsay here in the Renee's Trial Garden, and today I'm going to show you how we grow one of our favorite Asian greens, and this is our baby Pak Choi. So right now we are in the cool season, it's early spring, and Pak Choi really loves to germinate and grow during the cool weather. It doesn't grow well in hot weather, it'll just bolt and you won't get good plants. So Pak Choi, being a leafy green, loves a really high nitrogen environment. So in our sandy soil here in the trial garden, I've added a good amount of finished compost. So this will add good nutrients to the soil, good nitrogen, and I've added a good amount of a high nitrogen dry fertilizer. So I want my soil to be very nitrogen rich so that they grow vigorously and we have nice thick plants. I think you can never go wrong with adding compost to your soil, because in our sandy soil, it makes our soil more like a sponge and holds on to water so that your plants don't dry out and get stunted and stressed. And in a more dense, more clay-rich soil, it'll help your soil structure have more airspace so that your roots can have oxygen to grow well. I've chosen my bed here in full sun. So Pak Choi really loves cool weather, yet still full sun and regular water to grow well. So I'm going to get sowing my seeds. I got my packet here. I've got my digging knife that I like to use to make furrows along the drip tape. And you don't want to bury the seeds too deep, just about a ½ inch deep. So I'll make a shallow furrow. I like to just spill the seeds out in my hand and then take a pinch of seeds. I can feel it really well in my fingers, and then just drop the seeds every inch to 2 inches apart. So I've got my seeds sown in a row, and I'm just going to close the soil back up over the top nice and gently. And then I'm going to gently press down so that I can get good soil contact with the seeds. And when I water, the seeds aren't going to float up and move around. I just want them to stay in their nice, neat row. I'm not pushing down and compacting the soil at all, just gently pressing to get good soil contact. So I'm ready to water in. I'm going to use just a very light spray at first, again, so that I don't flood the soil and the seeds move around. I just want it to soak in really gently at first. And then from here on out, I'll keep an eye on the weather. If it's really warm, I'll probably have to water every day, and I'm just going to make sure that my germinating seedlings never dry out. Pak Choi is one of the great varieties that you can grow in succession. So you can grow a small stand and then several weeks later sow it again so that you'll have a constant supply. So I have my first stand that I had sown here ready to thin. And by the time we're harvesting this one will be growing on, and then we'll harvest this one later. And one of the most important things with growing from seed is remembering to thin to the proper spacing. So we want each of these plants to grow into a nice big rosette with thick leaves, and it will not do that if they're crowded. They will just get stunted and not grow to their full potential. So my seed packet's telling me to thin these each to 5 to 6 inches apart. So I've got my little ruler here, and I'm just going to pull seedlings out until I reach 5 to 6 inches. Thinning might seem like a difficult thing to do, but it's really the best thing for your seedlings. And all is not lost if you're thinning, because you can save your seedlings and clean them up and eat them in salads. I always like to water them really well after I thin, because ultimately you're still disturbing the roots of the neighbor plant that you thin next to. So I water in really well so that they'll revive. And Pak Choi is really important to keep it always consistently moist, because that's one thing that stunts Pak Choi is inconsistent watering. If they dry out too much, it's just too stressful for them. And we want these to grow into nice big plants that we will have for stir fry and soup later. So here we are with our final mature Pak Choi bed. These are all ready to harvest. And as you can see, we have achieved Pak Choi success. I'll harvest some and show you what I'm talking about. You can see these grew just exactly how we wanted them to. They're nice, big, chunky plants with big, thick leaf petioles. The leaves are nice and dark green, and this is all because we did everything right. We grew in the cool season when these plants like to thrive the best. We provided a nice nitrogen-rich garden bed for them to grow. We thinned correctly, and we kept them well watered and weeded, and look what we got as a result. So as I harvest, I like to go for the biggest plants first, and you're going to cut the entire plant off right at the base. So I take my Felcos and I just look for a nice chunky plant, and I go right down to the base and just cut the whole thing right off from there. Come off nice and clean. Okay, we have another bed here of our mature mini green jewel Pak Choi, and same thing. We've provided a nice nitrogen-rich environment for it, and we got, as a result, got these nice chunky little plants. This one is a little more small scale than our green fortune, with white petioles and really dark green leaves, just as delicious. So I was able to harvest a good amount here to make something delicious. And a word about when you harvest Pak Choi super fresh like this, and when you saute or steam them, they tend to cook up a lot faster than the store-bought stuff when they're really, really fresh. They're so good, just simply stir-fried with a little garlic and ginger. And recently we made some of the best ever chicken soup with them. And we found making soup, you can use a lot of Pak Choi all at once. I hope you found this video really helpful and you want to try your hand at growing Pak Choi yourself. And our varieties are available online at reneesgarden.com. Thanks for watching.